From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports after podcast show live stream. I'm Paul Dawalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, William Collis, as well as Lindsay Poss, who still doesn't have a nickname. We still got to figure it out. I saw some comments actually on some of our videos that people were trying to give you nicknames. For those of you who are new to the after show here and to the live stream, what we do here is we discuss the business and esports topics and news of the week, but the ones that are a little bit less serious, a little bit more fun. We try and have fun with this. We try and make it interactive. We dissect in the same way. We analyze. We look at all of this through a business and C-suite lens. But this is a little more fun, a little bit more relaxed than the podcast, and we love to do it.
Yes. And you know what else? What else we love, Paul?
What do we love?
The new Batman trailer. We love that.
Why we get people coming into the show expecting business and esports, hardcore Harvard, MIT, think tanks,
Carnegie Mellon.
I know, and all we want to talk about is the Batman trailer.
Yeah, well, you know what?
I know. Robert Pattinson hater.
Yeah, I
just don't think we need the Twilight version of Batman.
We know who's on Team Werewolf, don't we, Lindsay?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Nobody even likes Team Jacob. Jeez.
Yeah. What do they call the werewolves in the book? Aren't they like silverbacks or something? Is that? I don't know.
The fact that you even read the books.
I'm
terrified.
The movies really ruined the series. The books were well done.
The books are sold like in the youth section of the bookstore. Let's be clear.
I was a youth when they came out, Paul. Not all of us are old.
That's true. William has no excuse, though.
I love the way Lindsay just called you out. She was like, "That was the applicable section for me when they were released." Paul.
Yeah, sorry.
Not all of us were in adult fiction.
So if you're new to the live stream, we don't just talk about the terrible Batman trailers. We talk about a lot of esports things as well. Cam says, "Happy Wednesday. Thanks for the kind words on LinkedIn, Paul. You as well, Lindsay. Cam, it's a pleasure. Thank you for showing up every week. Thank you for being a supporter. We love you." Greg says, "Hey, it's my favorite after podcast show." Are there a lot of them, Greg? Do we win by default? Because that feels like a little bit less of a win. But thank you. Anyways,
after podcast show. That's so generous.
And Julian says, "Tartans represent."
Tartan for life.
I don't know what you guys are talking
It's Carnegie Mellon, the one that you regularly leave out of your MIT and Harvard.
Yeah.
Who's got the #1 computer science school?
They're across
Carnegie
the river
Mellon.
from each other. Carnegie Mellon, you got to get in a car. You got to,
Yeah.
Lindsay, you got a new background this week.
I do. I'm actually in Chicago visiting my family. So
this looks very fancy. You got golf clubs and everything. It's like really
surrounded by sports memorabilia.
Very
it's
cool.
Great. I'm very impressed.
Just to give everyone a rundown, a little bit of a teaser this week for tomorrow's podcast.
I thought Lindsay had set up a set at home.
That would have been such a better story.
I thought she'd be like, okay, I need to look professional, but also fun. Golf, vintage golf clubs, but slightly dangerous.
Because Lindsay did buy a new house. Congratulations. So maybe she did. That could have been a possibility.
There will be a cool setup, but it does not involve any antique collector golf clubs.
I'm disappointed. Next time you have to have like a streaming corner, and that should be our project. We should all have to decorate a streaming corner.
I actually have a giant poster of myself that was gifted to me as a retiring gift from basketball. It's huge and it's framed, and I think that's what's going to be behind me in the streaming corner.
Wait, you?
Yep.
No, what you do is send it to William's house so he can put it next to him.
I'll sign it. Yeah.
No, I was going to say I'm shockingly interested in this poster because I too would like a giant poster of myself. That seems like something that would go well on my walls.
Yeah.
I don't want a giant poster. I want those old, I want a proper, Victorian era painting, it's like I had to pose for,
Oh, that
fashion
on
and
a
military
horse
uniform.
and a battlefield of some sort, you know?
Yeah, you have to sit still for like 5 hours for 15 days straight, and like the portraiturist like occasionally says to you, still.
That's it.
Yeah.
But enamored with my beauty.
All right, but we have to do real analysis.
Yeah, can we talk about real things now?
Okay, apparently not the Batman trailer, but it's great.
Okay, we'll finish with that. How about that? I'll make you a
Okay,
deal.
that's all I ask. All I ask is to discuss.
Okay.
It was heated pre-podcast, people. Like there was some real debate about the best Batman movie. It got heavy. All right, topics.
The beauty of driving this is I get to have the last word. So, you know.
Don't you have a soundboard to shut me up? Like I think you have a.
You know what your sound is. Don't make me go to it.
No, don't go to it.
So Greg says, "Who needs a poster when you can have Paul as your background, William?" I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. We should all. It should be one of the default Zoom backgrounds. I still think someone get the Zoom CEO on a call. Like, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay, on this week's podcast, what did we talk about? Just a little bit of a teaser here. We started talking about some Fall Guys, believe it or not. I finally played the game, so we actually touched on that a bit.
Yeah.
But how it dethroned League as the most watched game on Twitch, which is an incredible achievement for any game, but for a game like Fall Guys, to me, seems doubly incredible. We talked about how we moved from that to other Fall Guys news, but this in the context of Bilibili, where they bought the publishing rights for Fall Guys in China, and in fact, they're going to make it into a mobile game in China. And we continued on the Bilibili sort of streak where we talked about Bilibili partnering with a music publisher for sort of what they call copyright solutions. In other words, so streamers on the platform can play music without fear of getting copyright strikes and things like that, which we thought was very clever and haven't seen Twitch really do it yet. And then Spotify launching an exclusive League of Legends esports podcast, which we had some debate over whether that was the most obvious thing they could do or other things that maybe they should have done as a brand extension of League other than that. And then we touched on Cent Esports, bringing on a bunch of partners for essentially co-branded goods. So Tencent is going to create a bunch of like co-branded internet routers and co-branded apparel and co-branded mice and keyboards, all with Tencent branding. This might be a fun one to talk about if you guys want to, if you want us to touch on podcast stuff, but it's a fun conversation to listen to tomorrow on the podcast. And then we ended the podcast with a bit of a rant on EA, at least in my case, a rant. William's valiant defense. But EA sort of thinking that they've seen the future of esports. And I disagree quite heartily that not only have they not seen the future of anything, most definitely not esports. That's it. That's what we covered on the podcast this week. A bunch of fun topics.
What we covered.
William, you were, as I was talking about EA, you looked at as if you have some kind of PTSD here. Like you had to hear my EA rant, and it was so.
Yeah, it was not kind to EA. It wasn't. I did.
But it was well deserved.
I mounted a valiant defense.
You did,
but
as always.
Yeah.
And so we've got a ton of other topics to cover this week. I don't know if you guys want to jump in. If anyone watching wants to talk about some of these things first or at the end. If not, we'll jump in.
Let's go for it. Let's go.
Yeah, is that the plan?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What do we have? There's so much actually really big kind of public market news this week, believe it or not. Let's start with this one here. This one's a good one. It's a big one, actually. Unity. Epic Games rival Unity files to go public.
Oh.
Sales topped $500 million last year. This is from CNBC.com.
That's crazy.
Unity boasts business from game makers such as EA, Microsoft, and Zynga. For those who don't know, Unity is like the underlying game engine that powers most of these games, the same way Epic has their Unreal Engine that powers many games. And so they filed to go public on Monday under the stock ticker U, which I thought was like
just you, or is there more?
just you.
Oh.
That's it. Which I thought was kind of clever, I guess.
I didn't know you could do that. Like, I just sorry if I seem dumb. I thought like there was a 3-letter rule. Like it's like you can't call your child like A or Y. Like there's a minimum number.
Elon has proved you can call your child whatever
Actually,
you want.
his name is technically illegal in California.
Oh, really?
Like, how do you say Elon's child's name? Do we know? Is it
Oh,
Xavier?
I don't.
It's
I don't.
X-Ash A12 or something like that. I know that the AE combo thing is Ash.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are we
Anyway, so
sure
Unity
about
filed
that?
to go
I don't know.
public.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, bringing us back on topic.
Yeah, who cares, guys? Right? Multi-billion-dollar IPO.
Yeah. Or how do you?
Or how do we say Elon Musk's baby name?
So
That's a lesson in branding, though. Take it what it is. Yeah.
Just some numbers here. The company had $163 million net loss on $541 million in revenue in 2019. It sounds like 2020 is going to be roughly the same.
How did they have a net loss, though?
Right.
That's the weird
Their
part.
expenses exceeded their revenue.
Oh.
This is
Is that how it works? Thank you.
This is standard fare in esports, William. I thought running losses is all the industry seems to know.
My entire life I've gotten it confused. I thought the red number was good. I thought when Excel puts the little parentheses or brackets around your number, I thought that was like a celebration.
Yeah, it's like a hug.
It's like a hug. It's like you did so well, your numbers get a hug.
They've lost money.
But seriously, like they're quite large and scaled. Like what's the end game here? If you're not profitable at this scale, like when do you literally Unity is used for like everything. Like I've done development in Unity. Like if you're not making money at this level of reach, like what point do you intend to make money? Because
that's sort of not fair, right?
Okay. Tell me why it's not fair.
Because it could just be that, first of all, it's a very competitive with Unreal right now, right? Epic has raised a bunch of money.
Totally.
And so I'm sure competition is fierce.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, it's a land grab, right? The more publishers you secure, the more developers you secure, the stickier and more recurring your revenue becomes, right? Like publishers, I think, are not switching game engines every second day, right? If you've had success with a game and you've made it on Unreal, chances are you're going to go back to Unreal Engine for your next game and your next game and your next game. And so I think it's probably extremely competitive, and the focus is securing market share versus sort of worrying about maximum monetization or profitability.
But like, what market share is there to secure? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, for what you can develop on, and this is, I know I'm going to get this wrong on somebody's game, but just like generally, there's basically Unity and Unreal, right? As like your major, and Unity is more platform flex, mobile. Unreal is more like kind of high performance PC is my stereotype of them, right? Then there's all these in-house engines. Like if you're at EA, you use Frostbite, right? Like, what am I missing? Like, you're not taking market share from the proprietary engines because those are a strategic choice by the companies to be proprietary platform tech, right? You're like, is it just Unreal you're fighting with? And if so, like, what's the strategy? Because like this war is going to continue. Like, what's the strategy? You put them out of business? Like, that's what I don't understand. It's a consolidated market. Like, if there were like 100 players and the plan was to be unprofitable until you've gobbled it up to 2 or 3, I would get it. But the reality is the market is like pretty much in its end state right now, unless I'm completely wrong about game engines. Like, it's basically 2 major public license players and a bunch of smaller in-house niche products. That's like a pretty typical market settling behavior. What is it? 60, 30, 10. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Lindsay?
I was just going to say, is there any way of telling what they've lost money on? Or are we going to have to wait till they go public and get those SEC filings?
I will say that this year, looks like the losses are narrowing. Okay. So if you project forward, it looks like instead of losing 160 million like they lost last year, they'll probably only lose 100 million this year, something like that, right? If I'm projecting their numbers forward here. But if you sort of dig in here, one of the things that they say is Unity has 53% of the top 1,000 mobile games on the Apple App Store, for example. That's still a lot of market share you can build.
Well, and what a time to go public with Unreal Engine being pulled off the Apple Store.
So it's a great point, right? And another one I thought, because Unity had tried to go public earlier. I don't know if you guys remember, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
They had attempted it and they pulled it for whatever reason. I'm sure they had this S1 sitting there, right? You change some dates, you change some numbers. And now Epic's sort of in this fight. Epic's off the App Store. Potentially even Unreal Engine was going to be pushed off the App Store, but that didn't happen. But right, like you're kind of in deep with Apple now. How much better timing than to sort of, brush off the S1 and go, well, now's the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised knowing the investors behind this.
Yeah, they have good investors who could do something tactical and quick,
Sequoia is the major shareholder.
Silver Lake, right, is in them, I think. There's some good folks. There's some good folks in there. Yeah, well, I mean, either way, more power to them. I mean, it's good to have more companies public in the space that, to get more variety and structure. But I do think the timing is surprisingly non-coincidental, right? Like they're definitely reacting.
It's pretty impeccable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just coincidental. I think it's quite purposeful, but Sequoia are the winners here, right? They own 25% of the business today. This is going to be a, potentially double-digit billion-dollar exit.
I'd be
this is a it's a
with
massive
losses
return.
That big, Paul. There's no way it's not a multi-billion-dollar market cap.
Well, and I think Sequoia had only put a couple $100 million in or something like that, right? Like some relatively small amount. This is a clear 10-20xer for them.
Engine businesses are really good businesses like this. Yeah.
Well, it's losing money, but there's I think the market realizes there's long-term value here because you're buying land that is hard to displace, right? Like you're just once you're in with the developers, it's hard to move you off.
But this is what I don't get. Like Unity's in. Like many people use Unity, unless is it like the AAA games development. I think it's less prevalent there, right? Like I don't know. But then like that's not
the whole industry's growing, right, William? Like we're gonna see more games. Like the pie is not only are they fighting for a bigger piece of the pie, but the pie is growing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
a good situation to be in.
Yeah. But like to be very fair, Paul, Fall Guys was made in Unity. Like they're already big. You know what I mean? Like literally the #1 game on Twitch right now was already made with their engine. Like how much more scale do they need? Anyway, leave it alone. But,
I mean, just what's the you don't think this is the right time for them to go public, or you truly think they should be profitable?
I think they shouldn't be losing $120 million. Like that to me feels suspicious when you have this because what's their market share? It's got to be decent. Like everybody,
again, like
it's 53% on Apple,
53% in mobile. Call it, and they say they have over 50% of mobile, PC, and console games that are made with Unity historically.
That's a lot of percent.
Yeah, that's
a loss.
That's borderline. Like I think you trigger antitrust regulation at 60% of the market. That used to be the old standard. Like you're there. Like there's not much more growth to get. Like I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe that's why they're going public to get profit.
I don't know if I'm not seeing comments coming in, guys. This is the last one I saw from Cam. Oh gosh, already off the rails. Is there a bunch more that I have not seen here? Because I had an issue with comments earlier.
We might be having a comment issue, I think.
So if you give me a second, I'm just going to restart my.
Oh,
whoa!
bye.
Did we get rid of him?
Finally, now we can talk about the Batman trailer.
Now we're talking about the Batman trailer and how good it was. Sorry guys, this is the most unprofessional live stream, but he's back.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't bugged because every so often it bugs and I don't get updates at all from anything. So you're right. They maybe shouldn't be losing money. And it's interesting because Epic is profitable. They have like they earned something like $700 million on revenue of like 4 billion, but they also have 10 times the revenue.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Right. So clearly, whatever, even though they only have half the market, that if that's actually true, whatever half they have is generates far more revenue.
Yeah.
And it could just be Fortnite, right? Like, let's be realistic. The difference could literally, the $3.5 billion difference in revenue is probably just Fortnite.
Yeah. That's right? Like 60% of it. Yeah, that's crazy. Fortnite.
That's so not powerful. Engine revenue, right? Keep in mind.
No, not engine.
So I would be surprised if both companies are doing about $500 million in game engine revenue, and the $3.5 billion difference on Epic's side and their massive profitability difference is the $300 million a month that comes in from Fortnite. So
yeah.
I mean, I hope that some of the losses come from new developments and stuff too. I hope they're taking the Uber strategy and coming up with something cool, spending their money on that.
Well, it's expensive too, right? Like game engines are what in some ways move the industry forward. Right? It's what allows new experiences, new immersive kind of environments, better graphics. Like there's some pretty hardcore development work that goes into building these.
Yeah,
they're still foundational
tools. They're pretty sophisticated tools.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else. No one likes talking about Unity's IPO. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hold on here.
My favorite.
Just as an aside, Lindsay, while I'm loading this up, I played 2 games of Fall Guys. I won my second game.
Okay? There it is.
This is the game for kids. All right.
Awesome. It's made for me.
Microsoft Flight Simulator. This was an amazing headline when I saw it.
So cool.
To stimulate 2.6 billion in PC gaming hardware sales, according to JPR. So right now it's sitting at an average Metacritic score of 9.3. It's one of the first games that has got a perfect review score by this website, WCCF Tech, which breaks a lot of game and hardware news. And according to this John Petty research, what they're saying is it's literally going to drive massive amounts of new hardware sales because of how hard the game is to run, because of how sort of next gen all the graphics are, and you need that processing capability. I just think that's such a huge number, William. I don't know if have you ever seen another case where a game drives so much hardware sales other than this?
Well, it's interesting because like I think this is notable more because we don't live in this world anymore. But like I remember a time when Diablo came out and it literally made me buy a new computer because I had 16 megabytes of RAM and I needed 32 for Diablo. You know what I mean? So like it, and this used to, by the way, be standard in everything. Like you could play your Nintendo games up until you needed a Super Nintendo to run the new game. So you could say like all the console sales cycles are stimulated new hardware. Like you saw this in lots of different places everywhere historically. It's gotten to the point where the hardware has advanced so much and is so powerful that we're just not in this upgrade cycle anymore, or it's not as tethered and road as it is. And development's gotten sophisticated enough. There's resolution options and ways to scale. but it is, I actually think it's kind of nice that like the medium is getting pushed forward. I think we had a debate 20 or 30 podcasts ago about are developers taking advantage of the hardware today? And I was saying I didn't think they were, and you were saying they were. But it's nice to see a developer put something out that's so demanding for the vast majority of people. It's built for this is like why I love the original Crysis, right?
Yeah.
Like I love the original Crysis because it's like it's a statement from the developers. They're like, we're making the best engine graphics we can, and we don't care if anybody can run it. Like it's part of the appeal. Like the mystique is like, can you get this game on Ultra? I think it's not. It feels very late 90s to me. Like that's what it feels like. I get those vibes. Yeah.
It's kind of refreshing in that way though, because we haven't had that kind of Crysis. Like, do you remember? It was a whole meme, right? Can it run Crysis? It's almost to this day, it's still a meme. And it's kind of the PC gamer nerd equivalent of like, bro, do you even lift? Like that kind of thing.
But can it run Crisis? Crisis is great. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's one of those things where we haven't had this in a while.
No.
I mean, Lindsay, have you played it? Have you tried it even?
No, I would love to. It looks awesome.
Would you go buy a PC to try it? You know what I mean? Would you upgrade your PC? Would you, just because of all the hype and like, is it something that would drive you to go buy new hardware? Or do you
I'd
really
at least consider it? I mean, it's worth thinking about. I can't say that I personally would run out and buy something, but I also, it's one of those things that would make me think about it. I mean, yeah, I think it's really cool.
I 100% update hardware for games. I just haven't had that. Like literally, like it's like when it's ready out. That's and I felt the last way I felt like this was when I finally had to go all in on VR when Half-Life Alyx launched, right? Like I like that. I mean, look, it's expensive. It sucks that it has to be expensive, but in a weird way it makes me feel like a child again, like when you have to upgrade the hardware. So I don't know.
You need to upgrade your hardware, William. This is why your aim is no good, right? You just need better hardware.
That's exactly right. Like if I could, so many things. If I had better hardware, Paul.
That's it. Julian says stunning simulation experience. I agree. It's incredible. Awesome. Other than William sending me photos of him flying into my house.
Yeah. Let's not joke.
Greg Carney tried it out and it's fun. It's like, it's simulation, right? It's not meant to be pure entertainment. You have to go into it, I think, with the right mindset that this is really about being pure simulation. What I love is its inclusion in the Xbox Game Pass, which I probably wouldn't have bought it. I probably wouldn't have bought it otherwise.
That was very smart that they put it in the Games Pass too. Again, it shows how seriously Microsoft takes this. By the way, Flight Simulator is quite a big market. I had completely underestimated. I thought this was much more niche as a game than it is. There is a vast audience for this.
Because everyone likes the idea of being able to fly.
Oh yeah. Well, especially now that we can't travel. But even outside of that, any age can play it, any experience. You can go. It's so accessible.
I know.
People love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I that was actually how I got into games, actually playing a flight simulator with my dad. I think you and I had this story too, Paul, right? This is how you learned? Like that's how I
one of the very first games. Yeah. I mean, not the first, but one of the early games.
It's very interesting how, like, in that regard too, I wonder if it's like you're right, the appeal of a flight sim is pretty much everybody. Like it's truly like non-gender skewed, non-age skewed game. Like just everybody thinks it might be fun to try to fly a plane. Like
the earliest photo I have of me gaming is my dad holding up my drooling self in front of a PC running Flight Simulator.
Please find that photo.
We need to do a throwback podcast where it's like our early gaming.
In a related news story, though, because I want to tie these two things together.
Yeah.
And I have such respect for this company specifically. A related story, and this is from VentureBeat. NVIDIA CEO, we are expecting a really large second half for gaming. And so this is good old Jensen in his, usually he's got a leather jacket. So this was kind of a weird moment for him, but he was pulling out their latest, I think, Ampere cards out of the oven. And it was a very weird kind of announcement.
It's a very nice stove.
It's their data center
cards too. That's like
I think this is his house. Stove. Well, the guy's a multi-billionaire, so he's doing all
only
right.
The nicest stoves. I get
it. But they're expecting this massive half for gaming. Whether I don't know if you guys follow or not, but they're coming out with their 3000 series like gaming cards in September. Actually, it's going to be announced literally beginning of September. And not only that, I believe in the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, Nintendo Switch runs their stuff now. Sony PlayStation 5 is going to run their stuff. Xbox Series X is going to run their cards, right? Like pretty much they've cornered the market on gaming graphics on GPUs. And they posted just for the second fiscal quarter revenues of $3.87 billion, up 50% from a year earlier.
Wow, Unity could never.
Yeah. But
I saw somewhere else too. It's not in this article, but that I think they're the fastest growing company in the S&P 500, which is also just amazing. And they're bigger than Intel
incredible
from a market cap perspective.
I mean, two things. One is it really puts that 1.9 billion Fortnite revenue in perspective in a good way, I think. Because if you think of basically all of the hardware powering games is 5 to 6 times larger than what one game did, right? Like it really puts the scale of Fortnite's human context. Second of all, though, how great is that as the CEO of a public company who gets to describe your upcoming performance as it's going to be the most amazing season ever? Like that is the sort of forward-looking statement you never hear. I mean, their projections must be wild to feel comfortable making a statement like that. And I know this guy's a little bit more of a character and everything, but like that's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible.
I mean, I want to pull it up, but like NVIDIA, if you look at their stock price over the last 5 years, it's just, I mean, there's no better success to like, look at this, right?
Oh
like,
my gosh.
This is 5 years.
From zero
to $22 in 2015 to $510 today. 5 years.
Insane. That's insane.
20x growth. More than 20x, right?
In a public company, that's like unheard of too, to have that type of like exponential. Wow, that's crazy.
But it's in some ways it's a monopoly too, right? Like at the high end of the graphics card market, and all their GPUs too are used for AI, data center. Like there's a bunch of uses beyond gaming. Even gaming used to be the biggest part of their business. I don't think it is anymore.
That's how I saw this news. I saw it in the technology policy side of the news, not the gaming side.
Because
from AI, Center for Data. I think it's the Center for Data and Information or Center for Data and Intelligence is where I actually was reading about NVIDIA and their dominance. So
who is their biggest competitor, Paul? It's
so this is the weird part. Kind of a funny story. AMD is their biggest competitor on the graphics side. But they've lagged. They've had nothing competitive at the high end. They've sort of been competitive in the mid range and somewhat competitive at the low end. On the AI data center side, not competitive at all, right? On the crypto side, they've had some pretty good competitive products. But what's funny is the CEO of AMD is Jensen's niece.
Huh.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're related. So what's her name?
That's got to be some wild holiday.
Lisa Su is related to Jensen. So the two. What's kind of funny is this one family essentially controls the entire global graphics market.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. Look where she went, William. Just to be clear, not
What I'm sorry, I can't. I don't read.
I'm not sure. I want to know the more. The more maybe is.
The more might not be. The more might not help you, Paul.
The more
she might have had to upgrade that to create another school.
But no, it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Look, I think we talk so much about gaming companies, and we talk so much about publishers, and we talk so much about teams and orgs and leagues. The reality is, and to Greg's point, you didn't mention that they are very profitable too. This is literally one of the most profitable companies on the planet, one of the fastest growing companies on the planet. And I don't think it gets the airtime that it might otherwise deserve.
No,
as a consequence.
Yeah. Well, it's probably the result of that stock ticker symbol. If only they just take an N, it would be a very different story.
You think that might have helped?
You is pretty catchy.
You is hard to forget.
You is really.
Adam says hello. Hey, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
So yeah, I don't know if
next story. Let's do it. What's up next?
Can we talk about something that came up on a previous live stream?
Yes. Yeah.
Where it's more just an occasion for me to pat myself on the back.
Go for it.
This one, I like the headline. A PlayStation phone should be Sony's answer to Xbox game streaming.
We did talk about this.
I'll tell you, maybe like, because I'm making a kind of a different connection here. I'll say my bit, and then I'm gonna let you guys talk about this. It's not really commentary in this, but do you remember what I said when we were talking about how can Fortnite compete, right? Instead of going and trying to sue Apple, and instead of trying to sort of go this legal route to stop Apple from getting a cut, what did we float the idea of? And you guys said I was crazy.
Launching their own phone, Paul.
Launching their own phone. Okay. And lo and behold, we have a similar situation here where it's highly competitive. PlayStation, Xbox, game streaming is a real threat to PlayStation's business. And here, the opinion for this from AndroidAuthority.com is that PlayStation should launch their own phone, which I don't think is crazy at all. I actually think it's kind of genius.
I think it's pretty crazy, but
I still think it's crazy. But this is also it's not one game though either.
Like,
why do you guys think this is crazy?
Well, because if there had been demand for this type of mobile gaming experience, right? Because presumably they're not just launching a phone, they're launching a phone to play games.
Yeah.
You would have seen more success with the PSP and the Vita, right?
Not necessarily. Those are different products in a different time. They weren't phones. Like, you could launch a really pretty cost-effective generic slab of glass with very proprietary PlayStation software on it, and you'd have a pretty unique offering.
But what's the advantage? Why would I buy the PlayStation phone? Because it runs the PlayStation games? Because
the threat here from Xbox game streaming, right?
Yeah.
Is anyone with a phone, anyone with a Chromebook, anyone can play all these Xbox and PC games now.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is the promise of Stadia that I would argue Microsoft is way ahead. Okay.
Right.
That cuts PlayStation out of the equation, right? PlayStation is far behind on the cloud discussion. Their model is much more like lock in and use exclusives to drive adoption here and drive players. Why is a phone not the perfect extension of that?
I guess it's true is if they want to pursue a hardware dominant strategy, like there's a key piece of hardware they don't own today, which is the phone in your pocket. I don't know. I guess it just comes down to, like, maybe this is naive of me, but I think businesses should specialize to some extent. And I think the phone market is so competitive, and like, to do well in phones, it's not just about doing well in hardware, right? Like, it's not just the hardware side. It's like look, why is Apple excelled so much in phones? It's the App Store, right? Like, it's almost a software driven. It's almost, phones today are almost more about the software side than the hardware side. Mm-hmm. And I believe PlayStation could do a software side where there's intercompatibility about games. I don't know if that gets them there, because there's so much traction around this open, unless they got like a Droid license that allowed them to run. I mean, I guess maybe there's a way to do it.
Don't you see? Sony already makes phones though, so I just don't know why they wouldn't.
That's true. They do as well. It's
move that the same. Yeah. I mean, the same way we talked about the Samsung Note coming with Xbox Game Pass. I mean,
the differentiated strategy here that's possible, right? So Xbox is saying, sign up for our streaming service and you can play your Xbox games on your phone, on your TV, wherever, right? So this is a threat to Sony. So Sony could say, tell you what, you want to play PlayStation games, you can play them on your TV with our console, you can play them on your phone with our phone, and it'll be better. You're not streaming anything, it's local, it's all going to be optimized PlayStation, the software is all optimized, right? It's the counter strategy. It's let's make everything local on a device we control.
Well, and they have the devices, so there's no reason why they couldn't
already make TVs as well. Yeah. Like, there is, I don't know. I just like.
I think it would be weird to make a game specific phone. Like, making a Fortnite phone would be strange to me. Making an Epic Games phone would not.
But you could see a Sony PlayStation TV, a Sony PlayStation phone. I think
I mean, they could
that's not
change the
outside.
Xperia right
But,
now
like,
to PlayStation phone. I don't think it would be that difficult.
Could you see a Sony PlayStation? Like, that's a step back in my mind. Like, we used to bundle consoles with display devices. We unbundled them to reduce cost. Cost is very much a driving factor in this next coming console war. That's why everybody's scared to announce price, because they know as soon as one person does, the other person charges $50 less and gets the bigger market share, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think, like, they already control the to me, doing a phone would be like if they did do an integrated TV product. Like, it's too far. Like, I'd rather see them launch an app on Droid operating systems that allows PS3 and backwards games to be played. Something like that. I'd rather see them go the software side. They'll get a larger user base. They got more of the revenues. And sure, maybe then they do a hardware phone that happens to come bundled with this in 100 games. But they're two separate plays. There's a software play to bring classic gaming to phones. And there's a hardware play because Sony they still think of themselves as a hardware company for some reason and want to be in that market and won't let it go, you know?
Well, and that's what Microsoft did with offering Game Pass on the Samsung. It was the Galaxy Note, right? The one with the pen.
Yeah.
But this is
They
why
went that route.
counter strategy is because, you know, if you buy a Samsung Note today, right, you could be an Xbox customer. Sony doesn't want you to be an Xbox customer. And so offering a PlayStation app on the Note, I'm still in a very competitive situation that it's not clear I can win.
How would you feel about a super bundle? Can I ask you this? Like,
Yeah,
what
like
if it
where
was,
you really want to lock in people and you put TV,
like
phone.
what if it was bundled? What if it was a PlayStation router, a PlayStation phone, a PlayStation TV, a PlayStation? Like, don't you kind of see the absurdity of it? Like, they just, like, there's a line that you draw here. Like, they already, I don't know. To me, it's like, it's not the worst strategy. I could see it being executed well, but
Look,
yeah.
Julian says, God, I miss the PSP. So there you go. You'd have Julian's the first customer for a PlayStation phone.
I still have my PSP. Tactics Ogre let us cling together.
Martin says, hey, Martin, so is this playing on your phone with a Bluetooth controller? I can't imagine AAA gaming experience with touch controls. Yeah, I mean, all of that's possible. How you extend that experience is open and all available today. Like, any phone can connect to a Bluetooth device today, pretty much. Yeah. The question is, you know, is countering the cloud strategy with a pure, more hardware strategy the right way to go? That's the more generic question.
It is interesting. It's like a totally different bet on how tech is going to localize and structure. Like, yeah, it's interesting.
I'd like to see it happen. I want to know if it would be like a Fire Phone type of experience, or if it's like I don't know, like a Nintendo Switch Lite type of experience.
Let's stick with the like hard goods here, guys. I want to talk about more products. Cam actually says, I bought a Switch and rarely use it in its mobile format. Don't understand this stuff. Not for me. I agree. I agree. But let's talk about Champion's esports oriented gamer collection. So Champion announced this range of hoodies, and the big selling point here, William, I know you don't want to miss this.
I'm speechless. I'm like,
oh, they don't even put the picture in this article actually, but the whole thing was that the hood piece was large enough to fit your head with headphones on it, which is what video game players do, and that they increase the number of pockets, which in a hoodie, I'm not sure how you...
For snacks.
No, and they have, if you read the article, they also have oversized pockets to hold your controller.
So you're gonna go around with your giant headphones on in your giant cap, and then your hoodie bulging with controller, and maybe you stuff your Nintendo Switch in there, and a keyboard and a
like literally like my
someone from FaZe Clan, William, is endorsing this.
Shocking.
So, come on.
Are we surprised?
I just there's just so many thoughts I have here. The first thought I have is, in no way is this defensible. Like as a feature set, like if your unique thing is slightly bigger pockets, like good luck. Like I go hold that hill, right? That's one. But two, and this is like I want to know their market research where they're like, okay, here's these gamers in freezing cold houses who need to wander around with their controllers in their body. Like it's just like this is the reality is like I this is what bothers me so much is like just like there is a room for gaming products for sure, like gaming for 100%. There's lots of gaming specialized products I have. This just feels like it was invented in a like there's been no situation I've ever been in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that my pocket is big enough to fit my controller in.
But what about the hood
Lindsay.
being big enough for your headphones?
Yeah,
Has that
please
ever been
put
an
William
issue?
in his place. Tell him you're going to buy this hoodie, and
Yeah,
that you
tell
love
me about it. Yeah.
and why.
Okay, I love the extra pockets, but not for anything to do with gaming, just because I like pockets.
Okay.
So really, they should have marketed it differently because I would definitely use a hoodie with lots of pockets. But I love the whole big hood thing, as if you can't just buy a hoodie that has a size up hood. I don't. Hoodie hoods are already pretty big. If you can't fit your headphones in there, I don't
was
know
gonna
what
say-
kind of headphones you're using.
I've got a big head. I've never ever had an
I've
issue.
never had that problem.
putting a
I've
hoodie-
never had that
Yeah,
problem, right? Like
it's just
I'm
not really like yeah. It's interesting. It looks cool. I'll give them that.
Look,
Champions.
it can be
rebranded.
customized. That's
Oh.
Like-
worth mentioning. That the
Ooh.
patches on the sleeves are Velcro, so you can put different patches for the team you're cheering for,
Are you
or whatever.
kidding me?
This
No,
is like
I'm
for
not.
toddlers. You got snack pockets. You got Velcro stickers. You got like
This is
you got room to play hide and seek. I don't understand.
this is literally like they've identified the market as the toddler product.
Yeah, buy them for your boys.
Peekaboo. It has
They'll have a great-
extra
Yeah.
pockets for
That's what
peekaboo.
I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
All they have to do is put like holes in the thing. Then you can have a mask.
Martin says gamer collection screams cringy attempt to cash in on a trend.
Yeah.
I did have a hoodie I loved though because you could zip it up and it turned you into Optimus Prime. It was so dope. That is something I would cash in on.
Greg says,
Greg gets the snack thing.
Greg's on it.
I'm
Greg
all for
knows.
extra pockets, but they lose me at the Velcro patches part.
That just feels like
I can
like
get you
someone
one with
was
my
there
face on
and they're
it.
like, no, this isn't
Stick it on
esports
both
enough. Big pockets and large heads could also target people with big heads and 4 hands. Like let's like
It is a bit silly, which is weird that Champion would be the one doing this, because like they've done relatively good, I think, apparel for the gaming and esports market before, just normal apparel,
yeah.
like not
Right.
like gamer specific.
Well, and they're known obviously as a sports brand, but why not just incorporate more esports settings into your pictures and then everyone wins? Also, everyone's buying sweatpants now anyway, so I don't.
I just don't get it. It just misunderstands consumer. Gamers buy on performance, right? So I'm not seeing any performance. Maybe the headphone, but again, like come on, like what would be cool now?
But if you were to design a performance hoodie, like what would it have?
It would have an extra large pocket on your back to slip your laptop in. I don't know. No, I was thinking about that. If I wanted, if you gave me the category of hoodie and I had to add performance features to it for gamers, you know, I think the answer, and I hate to say this, is like it's not really like there's not a lot you can do. Like the clothing product categories work well. I mean, the things I might be interested in, and I'm making this up, I might be interested in like flexible mesh material at the wrists and elbows so that you could just move quicker. You know what I mean? You can mouse flick aim quicker. There could be some argument there. I might be interested in something like, you know, like an airism tech or something that's the Uniqlo tech that like makes it breathable to get more oxygen to your skin to enhance performance. Like at least those things, I mean, I'm totally making it up here, but at least those things speak to, if you wear this, you'll be a better gamer, which is, I think, the promise you need to make when you're marketing. This would be like marketing a shoe for runners and being like, extra space to put your water bottle. It's just not what you need. It's not what's being driven here, you know? I don't know.
I think the problem is they didn't go far enough with the product, frankly. Right? Like,
Yeah,
if you're going to make a big
something,
pocket,
yeah.
make it big enough that I can put my whole desktop in it. Right? I just want to lug around my
Truly,
entire
yeah.
desktop, maybe with a monitor, maybe with a mouse and keyboard, right? Just make it this giant garbage bag of a pocket.
Yep.
Right? And
Zipper
then-
pockets on the front where you slide the mouse.
And then instead of little patches, make the whole thing just one big Velcro patch.
Just have it have a built-in desk. Just have it have a built-in desk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
just
something
didn't
you
go
can
far
pop
enough.
out to type on.
They just didn't fully commit is the problem here.
I'll never forget that company that made gaming shoes. And it was like, oh, guys.
Did they even come out?
I don't know, but it was a concept and it just was.
I've never seen them on anybody.
Well,
I don't know anyone who's ever bought them.
I'm wearing
Yep.
them right now, Paul. That's what. Whatever happened? I do remember we talked about
hardcore
those guys
gamer.
and we're like,
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
doesn't feel like what they need.
Let's wrap up on kind of the product space here, and let's finish with one that was also interesting news. World's largest gamer firm Razer unveils record high revenue of $447.5 million during the pandemic.
Wow.
Actually, before we get into this, I just want to read the comment. Cam says, "Oh yeah, the shoes." Martin says, "Give it a cape." Yes, exactly. Right? They
Legitimately,
should have owned it.
Roll it into a
Legitimately,
backpack
though,
type deal.
a cape is a more interesting feature to me. Like, that's at least like in fact, like, I might even start a built-in cape. Like, why aren't capes making a comeback? Like that it feels like a moment.
How about you wear a cape for the next live stream, William, and maybe you can bring it back.
Don't tempt me, Paul.
I
don't have a rich collection of capes. Yeah.
You should. As you
I
should.
have them in a variety of cape fabrics, like wool and polyester.
If it's a plaid cape, especially, I would love to see it on you.
All right, let's talk about Razer.
Razer unveiled record high revenue, guys. 25% year-on-year growth. It's worth the market cap's about 15 billion Hong Kong dollars. I don't know what the rough conversion is, William or Lindsay, on Hong Kong dollars to US dollars. Listed in Hong Kong, second most successful IPO in 2017. Gross profit margin improved to 22%. They had positive adjusted earnings, positive cash flow, and over $500 million cash balance with no debt. Great story, incredible story. Again, another profitable business, lots of cash in the bank, almost no debt, growing, and some of it is coronavirus related, obviously, but some of the growth is obviously organic as well. And are you guys surprised? Like, are we surprised that we're seeing more and more of these hardware companies around the edges being massively successful? Lindsay?
No. I think that people, I think that people are getting more niche into their hobbies during this time, which is why we have a bunch of sourdough bread bakers and knitters and all this stuff. I think that there's actually time to do real research and find, I guess, these more outer companies. So no, I'm not surprised that it's a, less well-known, but now becoming popular type thing.
I mean,
I was going to ask you a slightly different question, which is one of the things I've heard about Razer and what the analysts love about Razer is they've sort of dominated the gaming hardware market, right? And they're leaders in certain categories, not all of them.
Yeah.
But they've started to move more, it seems, upstream, more services, more software. Yeah. The article mentions them buying like a payments company and introducing a service called Razer Pay, right? They're trying to move into more into services and software that, frankly, will always have better margins than hardware. But it's interesting because I think we haven't seen any other gaming companies make that move yet. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, you sort of. I mean, all the hardware companies are in software to some extent, right? Like NVIDIA, what am I using right now to record this? NVIDIA RTX voice, right? Like to some extent, like hardware has always required, and partly this was a natural edge, which was back in the day when you had new hardware, you needed software that would take advantage of the hardware. So there was a natural synergy for hardware to be driven. But now it's gone a little bit further, and software is being used as a differentiating feature for hardware companies to some extent, right?
Or completely different lines of business, which is sort of the case here.
Yeah.
Banking on a brand.
Well, that's where I was going. What's interesting about this is Razer Pay is not really about getting more out of your Razer keyboard, right? It really is an attempt to diversify the business, which I think the telling thing you can take away from this is, even though they're having great quarters, if you're diversifying away, I think they expect a lot more competition. There's a lot of heavy hitters entering the space, and they expect that they've been able to, extract some relatively premium margins on the business historically, been a first mover that, now let's be honest, 5 years ago, they were the only game in town. Now you can buy a colored mechanical keyboard from anyone. Like I feel like I can get a Hewlett Packard Esports light up keyboard, So I think partly this is not good news for them, ironically. The diversification is probably due to intense competition in the home market. And like somebody had a comment about it too, and the things like Razer's a polarizing company. Like it's true. For all the love they've gotten in the gaming community, I don't think Razer products today are perceived to be the premium performance product, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I think they're more perceived to be like the product you buy when you want to be a gamer, but you're not really one, Is that fair? I'm saying this totally. I use Razer products. Like, I really enjoy them. They're great for me.
You're using the wrong Razer product there, but that's okay.
Is that the right answer?
Greg says 1.9 billion, which is the market cap. I assume the equivalent of 15 billion Hong Kong dollars, which is still, when you think 2 billion in mice and keyboards and headsets, it's still
a lot of dollars.
Yeah, a lot of dollars. Cam says, what are your takes on Razer products? They seem like such a polarizing company. Look, I say humbly, not so humbly, I really consider myself an expert on gaming hardware. I've tried just about every mouse and keyboard and piece of hardware that exists out there. Razer has always gone in sort of ebbs and flows. They've had moments like the very first gaming mouse I ever used was a Razer Boomslang. They arguably started the market, created the market for gaming specific hardware. There was no one doing, like, most gamers at that point used a Microsoft mouse or whatever the pretty good mouse of that day was. And Razer came in and said, no, you're not going to buy a $40 or $50 mouse. We're going to get you to buy a $100 mouse. It comes in this cool tin. It looks like an animal. It looks fierce. It looks aggressive. They created that market. What we could call gamer hardware today, it's all because of Razer. Like, this entire market is because of them. And they used to have great products like the Boomslang, again, category defining, creating incredible mouse at the time. But it's gone in ebbs and flows. They've had periods where their products are just not the best. I would say today, for a pure gaming mouse, the only category they really lead in is on the wireless side. So like their Viper Wireless Ultimate is probably the lightest wireless mouse you can buy on the market today. Yeah. Keyboards today, they also have a very category leading product in the Huntsman Tournament Edition keyboard. But that hasn't always been. If you asked me this question a year ago or 2 years ago even, I would have said there's nothing category leading in their portfolio. Nothing.
Wow, you are dropping bombs right now. You really do know this space well.
Yeah.
That's why his YouTube channel is 100% product reviews on nothing and nothing else.
Yeah, that's right.
Or his YouTube subscriptions, yeah.
I'm going to launch my own mouse company, Brightest Lights, the brightest light up mice on the market.
That's it. The whole YouTube channel where you just measure the brightness of the lights.
I just get a spectrometer and I'm like, this one's better. It's brighter.
No, but they haven't followed certain market trends. So like in mice, the trend has moved to light, holes in the body, in the shell, right, to reduce weight. They've been very late to that. The Viper Ultimate is great because it's a light wireless mouse, but they sort of have missed the really ultralight trend. keyboards, they also didn't have a good product in that 60-70% keyboard category. The 10 keyless, the smaller keyboards.
By the way, are wireless mouse actually a thing? I thought it still had to be wired down.
This is my work PC, so this is my work mouse.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
On my gaming PC, there's definitely a wired mouse.
Yeah.
I would never use wireless on a pure gaming PC. So I don't know if that helps, Cam, but that's today they have good products in mice, specifically the Razer Viper Ultimate, keyboard in the Huntsman Tournament Edition, and in
So cool.
In headsets they have just recently released two pretty good. One at the $60 mark, the Black Shark, pretty good headset for the price. But other than that, I would stay away. Laptops, they're not that competitive. The overpriced compared to the competition today. So.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
But I like the move into services and software, William. I really do. I don't think it's just because the other pieces are getting so competitive.
Yeah,
I think I just think they're now banking on their gamer brand.
Well, yeah,
and if you're
sitting on that much cash, like, why not? You have to do something with it, right?
That's
like,
it.
You probably can't do that much more in hardware. You got to activate it, because otherwise you pay dividends, and that's not really the best use of cash, particularly in today's market. Like,
I like it just also because puts them one step ahead of their competitors, and again, if you can get your same gamer customer to spend more dollars with you, why wouldn't you? Right? It's creating more brand affinity for Razer. And even though I've hated some of their products, there's still always this soft spot in my heart for Razer because I've used some products that have been great.
Yeah.
So I would look at a Razer Pay. I would look at, that kind of thing. Let's move on from this stuff. Actually, this topic I wanted to bring up because it was perfect for Lindsay here.
I've waited all night for this topic. It's a good one. We can do this and then Batman.
Yeah,
gaming.
It was even surprising.
This is from the undefeated.com. Gaming has saved a lot of guys inside the NBA bubble's favorite pastime. Many players have found solace from the pandemic, social isolation, and the daily grind of basketball by playing video games.
Yeah.
So, the article goes on to talk about how all these guys brought their consoles and PCs, and, even though they're in this bubble, they're all like in their room playing Call of Duty and they're tweeting about it. And in some ways it has given them all sanity.
I think there was a huge missed opportunity here for gaming companies to sponsor the bubble. I will say that.
Yeah.
Like, that was a huge miss.
But why? Considering the players were doing all the advertising for them, it seems.
Well, I don't know. I think it's like, look, who's getting the headline right now? It's no particular game. I don't know. I was also being a bit sarcastic, right?
These guys need hoodies so they can carry their controllers around.
I know. What's missing?
That buy it.
Bubble would be perfect if only there were more pockets in my hoodie.
Lindsay, go ahead. I really wanted you to comment on this.
Oh, I love this. Actually, I saw today that the starting point guard for the 76ers, Ben Simmons, is now a Face Clan investor. So these are young rich guys. Someone should snap up their money.
List for this week.
There you go. Yeah. No, this is great. I mean, this is exactly what I want to see. I think, as I've said before, the NBA is the greatest league that there is. I think they stay on top of current trends and they drive culture for so many young kids that I think that I know that William thinks that this is going to eventually lead to their downfall, but I think if they can find ways to, build partnerships and make this a part of what they do, I don't think that it's a bad thing for them. They're the only ones that are doing it. Their players are the only ones that are talking about it. The NFL guys do to an extent. I mean, I know Juju Smith-Schuster is a big streamer on Twitch. He's a wide receiver for the Steelers. But no, I think I love the mix of professional sports and gaming. I think it's awesome.
So you fundamentally don't think it's zero sum, though? That like the more games they play, the more sort of the NBA loses a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That for gaming to gain, the NBA has to lose. You don't think it's zero sum?
Because as William points out in his book, athletics have physical constraints and gaming doesn't. That doesn't, just because you're physically constrained by something doesn't mean that you enjoy it any less from the time that you are doing it. So you play until your physical constraints are over and then you go to something else. I still think it's possible to be multifaceted.
It's kind of like a basketball player 20 years ago. If he had some time off or something, he would jump into the broadcast booth and cover a game or give some commentary or something, knowing that when his career was over, he could go into broadcasting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a little bit different here. It's a little bit different because let me ask you, if this article, let's do the extreme, if this article were NBA players saying, like, man, this bubble would just be terrible but thankfully baseball's here. So nothing's better than unwinding after a long day of basketball with baseball games. Like, that would feel weird to you, right? Like, that would be like, hey, wait a minute. We're here for basketball. Why are you talking about baseball? Like,
not at all. There's tons of articles about them playing cornhole. CJ McCollum brought 86 bottles of wine to drink while he's in the bubble. Like, gaming is great, but it's certainly not. It's a lot of what the guys are doing. Oh yeah, he also kept his room at 50 degrees when he wasn't there and warmed it up to 60 to live, so that the wine could be properly chilled at all times.
That sounds like my type of basketball player.
86 bottles of wine. I didn't even know they could drink in season. We were never allowed.
That was really the more shocking thing for me. Is that like a bottle a night? What does that get you? Like,
I don't know. Ask CJ McCollum. Yeah. But anyways, I don't think that I still don't think it's going to be something that pulls away. I think this is part of, a larger cultural shift to this is what people spend their free time doing.
But hold on, let me just press William's point. You don't think if every basketball player in their off time was playing baseball, right, that the commissioner of the NBA at some point would be like, guys, this is a little off brand for us. Like this can't be good for our brand here. Can we do something else when you're off? No. You don't think they'd step in and because it's not great for the brand.
We're getting precariously close to something like this happening. Let's say there's a middle tier NBA star player, right? Middle tier NBA star player, and earning. I'm going to throw out a number, $1 million a year. $1 million a year, right? Just again, I don't know.
That's a lower tier guy, just so you know.
Yeah, all right, lower tier guy, whatever. You know what I mean. But earning $1 million a year, but as some fan cachet or whatever, gets an offer from Twitch, live stream exclusively $1 million too, and he takes it because he says, you know what, I earn more money. It's less demanding on my body. Now, do you see them as competitive? I'm just going to go across the spectrum here. Now, if you're the NBA commissioner, would you be worried that you had somebody stop paying professional basketball to go be a pro gamer?
No, because in his spot are 100 other people who love the game as much as he does with the same skills.
Okay.
You're saying he's so easily replaceable.
Honestly, Calvin Johnson retired from football when he was at 31 at the height of his career. One of the greatest wide receivers to play. He didn't retire because he was taking a deal from gaming. It didn't matter. He retired, he quit, he left. We're starting to see the trend of guys retiring younger and younger because of the physical constraints, but there's still an entire stock of people out there willing to take their place who can be the next star. So no.
See, as the gamer though, this offends me a little bit though, too. Right? Why should guys who spent their entire teenage years, right, and childhood throwing basketballs, training basketball, running, drill, right? Whatever, right? Why would these guys who they've spent their whole life training to play basketball automatically get a second career in gaming just because of their fame?
That's the thing that I think is more interesting.
I'm a little offended by this, right?
Oh, come on, Paul. That's just that's elitism. Like, these guys, if they're charismatic and play well, they deserve. And by the way, that's like saying, why should they automatically get to be sports commentators when there's tons of journalists who write about it and think critically about for years and years, and then how come he or she gets to be in the booth just because they played on the court? Like, I don't know. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. It's the same way a celebrity gets attention when they stream. Like, it's just an audience. Like, I don't know.
I can still be offended by it.
Yeah, they are absolutely taking the spot of some other young streamer who actually.
I played games my whole life, right? I didn't have a basketball career.
Okay, they're all taking Paul's spot.
Yeah, they're all. Paul, This is your fault, though. I keep saying we should live stream games together, and you're the reason why they're taking your spot.
No, because I'm looking at the guy, the basketball player who's on stream. I'm going, no way. Until I have more viewers than him, something's not right in the world.
No. Yeah. You and your Apex squad.
Cam says proves to parents that their kids can do both. Doesn't this solidify the future of fun? Yeah, right. I think in some ways it's a great argument for parents who are like, hey, my kids are playing games. It's like, is this really bad for them? Clearly, people manage to do both, like stay competitive as an athlete and be pretty competitive as a gamer. Some of the best athletes are proficient in multiple sports. Players come and go every year. Yeah, that's true.
Completely. So if you have a guy who's playing baseball, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine from an injury standpoint. That's why they don't let them play other sports. But from a competition standpoint, no, it's totally fine. Go play baseball in your off time.
Nobody
cares.
I'm not sure I buy that, Lindsay. Like,
the greatest player of all time quit to play baseball for 2 seasons and came back and was just fine. And the NBA did not have an issue with it. In fact, the owner of the team encouraged him to do it. So no.
Okay.
So guys, the related story here was the Ben Simmons one.
Simmons,
okay. Now, and Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm using the wrong expression here. I am very happy to dunk on Ben Simmons here. No?
That is the correct expression.
Right? Okay.
You're about to yam on him.
Okay. But
you're about to reverb the backboard. What do you?
No.
Oh no. We were doing so well, William. We were doing so well.
I love
there was someone who tweeted at us that wanted our opinion on this. Unless they're in the room, I think everyone has heard me sort of dunk on investments in FaZe Clan before. If you're in the room, make yourself known. Unless William or Lindsay, you guys really want to dive into this. But you know, we've sort of trashed on FaZe Clan enough and well, Martin, come on. Yes, I wanted more personality in esports players. Yes. That doesn't mean if you're Ben Simmons and you have millions of dollars lying around and hopefully good business managers that you should be putting that money in FaZe Clan. That, by the way, has just lost 3 of its top executives. Like, this is that is burning cash at a prodigious rate, that is showing no profitability in sight anywhere. Yeah, so it's fun because he plays Fortnite with FaZe guys, but that's not an investment thesis. I hate to break it to him and his business managers. That's just not a good investment thesis. And so fair that he's a personality in esports and great that he's playing games, and I love that, but this is a bad investment. So leave it at that. I didn't hear anyone who wanted us to cover this other than
he's out for the season anyway. He got injured.
Yeah, that's the argument. He's injured, right?
He's spending his time making bad decisions.
Oh, well.
I blame, and I put this out, I blame the business manager. The business manager should have stopped this. Should have come in and been the voice of reason and said, Ben, you're injured. You probably have, 10 good years of playing left, maybe. Like, you don't want to be broke by the time you're 75 here. This is a bad investment.
If you like games, put it in NVIDIA. There we go.
You don't want to go the MC Hammer route, and guys, what do we want to talk about? Let's finish on one story that's strong here. Cam says, my take is that Ben likes the lifestyle that FaZe members advertise. Yes, but that's also not an investment thesis.
FaZe just signed a player. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. It starts with an L, and he's on the Trailblazers. They signed him to be a pro player. So there you go, William. They can do both.
So guys, I just want to show you. Here's what we've got left.
About him.
Let's leave it up to the audience to see what we talk about here. So we've got the international smashing records, $34 million. I don't even think it's been scheduled yet, which is huge. I don't know if there's that much to talk about there. This one I really wanted to talk about, guys, because I'm so curious to get your opinion. So I think we will do this one. And then this one was just kind of funny. Turtle, we covered enough product stuff. I don't think we need to cover that. And we've talked about funds before. But Are you ever too old to play video games? Let's end on this. So
No.
No, that one's depressing. Let's end. You told me we could end on Batman. Let's do the Burger King one, and then because the answer to that there's not to say you're never too old to play games. That's like saying you're too old to watch movies or too old to listen to podcasts. You're never too old. I did the whole thing. And when you get old, apparently you play Ghost of Tsushima or The Last of Us because those were the images they decided to.
Yeah, right. But no, so I just want to read the beginning because it's funny.
Yeah.
He says, last month I found myself celebrating my 40th birthday. Yet I don't feel 40. When I think of 40, I think of wisdom. I think of responsibility. I think of brown cord trousers. This morning I spent over 2 hours on the sofa in my underpants, clearing downtown Seattle of The Last of Us Part 2's infected.
It's actually pretty cool.
Which, can kind of relate.
I can relate massively.
But no, let's finish with this and then we'll talk Batman.
Yeah. 30 seconds. I get 30 seconds on the Batman trailer. Lindsay and I get it together. I'm
gonna dunk on your Batman trailer. I'm just telling you now.
You have to. You can't use the same.
No, I'm just gonna keep using it.
Find a new one.
You can't stop me. I'm running this thing now. So how do you do, fellow gamers? This is an interesting article from Ars Technica. It was Burger King that ran a bunch of ads on Twitch. So what they would do is they would go in to streams. They would donate a certain amount of money so that the donation was read out loud. And basically it was like usually in the $5 range. And basically the donation would read something like, go buy yourself a Whopper kind of thing. Like now you have enough money to go buy yourself a Whopper. And people were massively offended at this, I will say. So the common sort of reaction has been streamers felt like they were taken advantage of. Even though they received a donation, they never agreed to advertise Burger King. And there is some nuance in Twitch's terms of service that says you can't sort of donate money with the purpose of advertising your product or service. And it is nuanced. It's not cut and dry. And so people are talking about some of these FTC issues in terms of service issues. But I'm just curious what you guys think of the tactic in and of itself. Genius, not genius?
Oh, shout out to that 20-year-old in their marketing department.
Brittany says never too old.
Never too old.
Brittany, you're the best.
Brittany.
I love you. Yeah. I will hold that. I will hold you to that when I'm like 65 though, and still wanting to play games. I don't mind that brands are donating, but it's the message that's the issue. Yeah, guys, let me open it up to you before I respond to that.
Yeah. I think it's genius. Like this was a loophole that's open to be exploited. I think they had to go into it knowing it might be received rockily. Like basically, I don't think they thought that basically paying $5 to have people read out a Burger King ad was gonna go over cleanly. You know what I mean? Like I think they were smart enough going into this knowing, I think somebody realized that the donations was a mechanism that could be and they clearly are exploited. And by the way, they've been exploited before this, just not by a brand this big, right? So clearly it was an open mechanism. And I think they were willing. Burger King often does things that show an edgy affinity for youth culture. Remember they had their Burger King cologne and everything. Like they do things that they're okay a little bit with getting some hate and dislike because it shows competence in the space. And in this case, the one thing you can't argue is Burger King knows what they're doing on Twitch. Like this shows leveraging the mechanisms in a very clever way. I think it makes the brand young, friendly, gets them a lot of PR attention. And yeah, I'm sure a bunch of people are going to be mad that instead of getting instead of getting paid $10,000 for that shout out, they got paid $5 and exploited a loophole in their donation campaign. But guess what? It works. Twitch will tighten the rules and Burger King will move on. But I think this is very clever. And I think in general, though, it points to a weakness that I think Twitch is now going to have to face up to, which is what is the difference between donations and platform advertising? Because the two are a little bit on a collision course, right?
So you have no sympathy then, William, for the response that it got from the streamers.
Oh, it's not that I don't have sympathy. If somebody did that on my stream, I'd be I'd be mad. Like, I'd be like, don't come in here and make, like, explain. And they probably don't realize what's going on, and they think maybe it's a joke for one of the viewers, so they read it out anyway, and then afterwards they realize they got exploited by $1 billion corporate. Like, I definitely understand those people.
But they're giving you money.
Exactly. They got $5. Like, that's my counterpoint. They had a mechanism by which you could spend money and they would read something out. Like, what did you expect? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, no,
Brittany brings up a good point. And by the way, Brittany, for those who are in the chat, world famous in the gaming world, I will just say, she's the voice of Angel in Borderlands. So no small sort of piece of fame there. She says, well, Subway drops in and gives subs and donates, and it's always loved and welcomed. Why? I'm curious why you guys think there's a difference, or Brittany, why you think there's a difference. And Greg's point's a good one, which is, would you think it was great if it was an adult brand? Why does the brand seem to matter?
Like, my point here, just to finish it up, is the difference with the gifting and the subs is it's just Subway doing something nice, right? Like, if this were Burger King donating $5, great stream, it would be one thing. But this is, they're donating to have an ad read out. That's the difference, right? They're forcing, and that, by the way, is why they're saying it's an FTC rules violation, because it's not just a brand doing something nice. It's, they are intentionally trying to have you advertise the brand. You know, there's no other way around it. And it's, I get that. Like, maybe many of the streamers didn't like Burger King, you know, maybe they were vegetarian. Like, I understand it's frustrating. It would be one thing if Burger King's in your chat gifting subs to people. That's just them being a good community member. It's another when it's Burger King forcing you to have words come out of your mouth or your auto text to chat program's mouth on your stream that looks like an endorsement, right? It assumes, but again, I come back to it and I hate it. It's clever on the part of Burger King. And I think they knew it would be rocky and I think they were fine with it. And here we are talking about them on our esports podcast. They've won, you know?
It's true. I mean, any publicity is good publicity at this point. So no matter what the backlash that they got, it's sort of mission accomplished. The question is, will more people go out and eat Burger King as a consequence? Maybe. There's some mindshare argument here. Cam says, I would prefer the Subway style over Burger King, way more wholesome and community building. Yeah, but you don't get people talking about it.
Yeah, but way less effective. Yeah. Yeah. We're not Subway's only made it into the podcast as an addendum to the Burger King story. You know?
Absolutely clever but greasy. I find any marketing tactic that's clever but greasy tends to work once, maybe twice, and then you just never see it again.
Well,
right?
That's exactly right. If McDonald's did this now, then that's a very well said, clever but greasy. Like, this is not above board. It doesn't feel great, but they can. I think they'll be able to glide by on it because it was at first, right? The second person to do this just looks mean, you know. Like, there's no love lost there. Yeah,
but it kind of got me thinking, which is, could I exploit this for personal brand gain? Right?
Absolutely.
Like, what's
this is like such a cheap version of Cameo.
It is, like, right? I could literally just pop into a bunch of streams and start donating $5 to get them to read out, you know, go check out the Book of Esports by William Collis on Amazon.com.
You found my marketing strategy, Paul. Now
would that be any less greasy? Would it?
Well,
because we're not a big company. So, no, but we're not Burger King overlord, you know.
Well, I think the difference too, no, I think it would still feel pretty greasy. Like, I let's be honest, but also I think the difference is Burger King has some polarity. You know, I think if this were a charity, say it was Save the Children, popping it and donating $5 and say, I think it would feel different, right? Because sort of like in general, people are comfortable endorsing charities. I think fast food, QSR, hamburger, like, in general, there's a large segment of people who just aren't comfortable endorsing that for a variety of reasons. And it's that polarity of the brand that's also causing some of the friction here, right?
Yeah. The streamers could turn it off too. Again, I'm not sure why they're offended at this and not like someone sending them like an equally offensive message for other reasons. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, they're kind of opening themselves up to people exploiting when you give them that tool.
Yes, they are. I think the big issue here is that, like, this was a tool that was open for exploitation and now somebody's exploited it. Game on. You know what I mean? Like, but this is why I think the more interesting thing is you are giving, like, there has to be, donations have to have an incentive on stream to really work, right? That is the same as on stream advertising to some extent. The two are on a little bit of a collision course because, gamers leave up high donations. They do special shout outs for long donations. They do co-plays and things like that, community streams for particularly large donations. I mean, there's all sorts of avenues you can use if you're so inclined to put your product in there, right? And the reality is it's in many instances having the same effect as a paid advertisement. And in many instances, it's more effective because a lot of times on the paid advertising on Twitch, the enforcement is poor. And the streamer basically says, hey, and it's 2:00, I like Coke. Now back to Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reality is, like, I do think there's there's a square here that needs to be circled. And I think it's probably up to Twitch to tighten the donate. And by the way, this also goes back to my whole thing that I said on the podcast about Twitch should be an OBS and broadcasting software.
Well, you didn't say they don't. The viewers
they haven't
right
heard
now
that
don't
yet.
know that because they haven't heard the podcast yet.
I go on a
tomorrow.
Whole
you will
rant
hear
about
this.
Yeah. I go on a whole rant about how Twitch should be in that space. But again, if they were in that space, it would be much easier to control donation phenomenon because they could control the stream setups, right? Yeah. And they could have harder rules about text to speech. They could put in software that detects branding and other things. So yeah, anyway. All right.
I'll let you talk about Batman, William, only if you switch your background. That's the deal.
Okay, done.
Okay,
done. Like just for you. Just for you. Here's the background. Going to your favorite. Is this your favorite? This is your favorite.
There we go. Human perfection.
No, this is your favorite. Business of Esports models. No. Okay, this is
your favorite. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Wow. I'm so excited for that Batman movie. That's all I want to say.
This cannot be your take.
No. My hot take on the Batman, there's actually a real esports reason I wanted to bring it up because I actually think the Batman teaser trailer looks great. It looks interesting. It looks fun. I'm definitely going to like to see it, right? Here's my problem. And I see this all the time. And this is something I love, but here's the problem is it's another dark gothic Batman reboot. When are we going to get the slightly family-friendly, slightly lighter tone, comedic, Marvel-style Bat? Like, isn't it time to have a...
Like that
That's
one?
what I was just going to say. You want the bam!
I don't want that. I want Joss Whedon's Batman. It's very simple. I want Joss Whedon to write Batman. But listen, the reason why I say this is...
No one wants him to write Batman.
That would be fun.
One person.
Like Batman versus Superman Batman?
Okay, came in late on the edit, uncredited. So back off of Joss. He did Firefly. There's nothing else.
That's the worst Batman. Okay, anyways.
Okay, yeah, but listen,
I sort of would have been with you if you had said Michael Keaton Batman.
I want to get this back to esports because here's the thing, though, is there's a reason why Marvel is much more successful than DC right now in the space. And it goes back to that accessibility point I have about esports, right? You need to aim for the largest general audience your brand can safely target. And what bugs me about Batman and DC in particular is they seem to have identified dark and older as differentiating factors for their brand versus Marvel. So in their market positioning, they seem to be saying it's superheroes for adults, it's edgier, it's all that. And that is exactly the wrong way to go here. Like, it drives me crazy. It's just the same way that we see these battle royales that aim more niche, more military struggle versus the more accessible general game. Like, the secret right now in market stay, and I don't think it's just esports, is make products that go younger. Like, I really do believe that we're at I know it's weird to say, but like, I really do believe we're at a stage in the evolution of industries where the right answer, it used to be like 10 years ago, it used to be aim older, get the higher spending demographic. Now, because of the prevalence of microtransactions, the democratizing of pricing, and the ability to have a $3 user who's costs you just as much as a $30 user, which is essentially zero because software as a service, I really think these business models are suggesting younger, skewed, more broad products. And for me, I love, like, this is where I'm not the consumer, right? I love Dark Batman. I'm all in for it. The only thing I'm disappointed about is it's not like edgier and, like more like, like angsty.
It's not even Dark Batman. What they're giving you is Teenage Dreams Batman. Like,
they're giving you
they're giving you poster on the wall. I'm a teenage girl Batman. That's what they're giving you.
He looks like a legit take on Batman. He's definitely better than Batfleck or whatever they called him.
Come on. Half the trailer is hero shots of him and his face with no mask, it's like, how can we find more excuses to get him out of the suit?
Yeah, because he's got a great face.
No, it's okay. You can just say,
Paul,
you
Bruce
find
Wayne?
Robert Pattinson so attractive that you love this movie without having seen it. It's okay.
Yes, that's 100% true. I haven't even seen the trailer. My husband told me Robert Pattinson was starring in it, and I said, cool, let's go see it.
Wait, you haven't
That was it.
You haven't seen the
Robert
trailer?
Pattinson's in it. What do I care? I love him.
I'm done. You haven't seen the trailer and you're backing me? You're like, all right.
I'm not, yeah. Whatever.
It was a good point about accessibility, but it kind of disproves your whole point, which is this is not a good trailer. If a good trailer would have been Batman Fall Guys edition, right? Put bat ears and a cape on a Fall Guy.
That sort of is my point. It's like, I like this. I get it. I understand why stuff like this gets greenlit, because if I were in it, but my point is, I don't think this is the right direction for the Batman franchise. Like, I hate to say it, but like, as much as personally this appeals to me and I think I will enjoy this movie, this is not how you rival Marvel here, guys. Like, step it up.
Okay, can we wrap it up with our usual segment?
What are we playing? Yeah.
What are we playing this week? Lindsay, go ahead.
Wow, I read a lot of books this week. I didn't play anything. I can't believe the week's already gone by.
Podcast, wrong
you are
show.
Like 0 for 2 here. You're 0 for 2.
It took me 2 full days to plan a birthday party for myself. So that was
Play Candy Crush in between something.
Well, yeah, I always play mobile games, but I don't admit that out loud. I know the audience here. I just can't believe a week's gone by. Like, I haven't even... Yeah, I had a birthday, and then I drove 13 hours to Chicago, and...
This is not what you're playing this week. William, go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm playing... I mean, I don't know if it's that different from last week, but I'm playing Mortal Shell quite a bit. Did I say that last week? I really like Mortal...
No, you said it on the podcast, but that's okay.
Did I say it on the podcast? I get so confused about
it's okay.
Which. That's
time,
really grown
space,
on me.
nothing
That's why I'm here. I keep track.
I love Souls-like stuff. I'm still finishing up Ghost of Tsushima, but I've slowed down on that. Obviously, Heroes of the Storm, getting ready to go pro. And I'm eyeing finally starting Death Stranding if I get time. I miss that. I need to play it. Hideo Kojima is I just wordlessly admire Kojima's games. I don't think I'm going to enjoy Death Stranding. Everything I've read about it makes me know it's going to kind of be like just a rush between cutscenes like Metal Gear Solid 4 was for me, but I'm going to give it a shot for Kojima-san.
Greg says new Madden 21 has a new game mode called The Yard. That's fun.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think I've played any of the recent Madden games. Cam says might start playing F1 2020. Watched both seasons of Drive to Survive in 2 days. In love. That's, if not the best series on Netflix, it's definitely top 2 or 3. Literally some of the best content ever created, if you ask me.
What is Drive to Survive?
They follow the F1 sort of group of teams and drivers around for an entire season. And there's drama, and there's sort of there's the interaction between the drivers and their teams and their co-drivers, and you get all the drama of the cars and the races. Obviously,
my wife would love that too. I gotta watch that.
It's so well done.
Thank you, Cam. Yeah.
F1 2020 is a great game. I've been playing it on my sim rig. If you don't have a butt kicker, get one, Cam. It'll change your whole driving experience, and they're pretty cheap. It's literally just a big vibration motor you attach to your chair that makes you feel like you're in the car. It's actually quite neat. What am I playing? Cam's comment is kind of what I'm playing here. At 65, you're still top 500 on Apex, Paul. Which is just, I can't help that I'm good at these games. I don't know. It's a gift. What can I say? William?
Yeah. What?
Sadness.
It's okay. What? Don't be upset.
I'm top 500 Heroes of the Storm, Paul, so we'll go right back at it.
500 out of 500.
Yeah, 500 out of 500. That's exactly right. Gonna be, but based on user base metrics, I'll be top 384 in a week. Like these.
I can't wait to see you go pro. So yeah, mostly Apex and actually F1 is probably what I've been playing. The new F1 is quite good. Anything else, guys? Before we sign out here, can I just remind everyone, podcast drops tomorrow, as always on Thursdays. Every Monday, check out, please, Lindsay reminded me, check out, I put out a 1-minute video, which I think is quite good, that sort of recaps all of the most important esports business news of the week and a bit of my commentary, but it's like super short, super condensed. So you don't have to listen to us drone on for 2 hours. You can get it all in like 2 minutes. And just expect a lot more from us coming up. You know, William and I have been sort of toying with the idea of doing more business specific lessons coming out of esports, and would love, feedback on that. Maybe even creating a community outside of LinkedIn, outside of Twitter, or outside of YouTube, like a separate community where we can talk sort of more seriously about the business side of the industry without all the noise. So toying with some interesting things. Cam says, nice job this week, guys. Weekly hot stream request. Talk to William. Talk to William.
No, we're doing our inaugural stream is Fall Guys, because that's like the zeitgeist moment. And next week, Paul, let's find a way to do it. Let's do Fall Guys live.
I won my second game and I retired. I go out on top.
You're going
Oh, geez.
Discord, would that format work? Yeah, potentially. But I think but we have bigger plans for it, I think, than just what Discord might potentially allow. We're also trying to figure out ways how to extract a lot of the great content that we've produced on the podcast and things like that. There's like a lot. We're almost at 100 episodes now.
Which is
closing in fast. There's more. This is like 14th live stream. So there's 200-300 hours of content, 300, almost more than 300 hours of content now. And just want to figure out ways to sort of give you guys more value going forward. So
I have one more plug.
Yeah.
I have one more plug
Plug.
that I forgot to talk about. Yeah.
What?
So I'm officially I'm sitting on the board of a nonprofit called the Esports Trade Association. It's a really cool company. It's a lot of B2B networking and conferences. They also have their own job listings board and a couple other kind of unique things specifically for gamers. So if any of you are interested in learning more about that, you can hit me up, LinkedIn or Twitter.
That's a great thing to end on.
If they don't invite me and William as a speaker anytime soon, though, just
I'm working on it.
Ignore that plug completely.
I only have one plug. This guy.
Please, for the love of God, go buy the Book of Esports.
So good.
I think I saw them shipping within 2 days now, so it looks like it's coming back in stock, sort of.
I think it's still out of stock. I just checked. It's like, well, it's still in stock. They just have to ship it from the side.
Yeah, there's like a delay.
Yeah.
But it's really great. And as I mentioned on the podcast, it's required reading for my entire class. It's esports business class this semester. Like, that's how solid the concepts and the content is. Because I'm literally using it as curriculum. So that's about it, guys. I don't think I have anything else.
Lovely. It was lovely.
On that note, thank you, Lindsay, as always.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, William, as always, even though I love making fun of you, and I know you love making fun of me. But we will see you guys next week, Wednesday evening, every week, the live stream. Don't miss it. We appreciate all of you being here. Take care. We'll see you next week.